Alessia lived a quiet life, dedicated to her job as a nurse in a small hospital on the outskirts of town. Every day she returned home to her beloved son Tommaso, a 5-year-old boy who filled her life with joy. Although her daily routine might seem simple, behind the facade of serenity, Alessia kept a secret that tormented her every day. Before continuing, subscribe to our channel and activate the bell. Tommaso was not born from a common love affair, but from a clandestine affair with Carlo Ferri, one of the most influential men in the city. Carlo was a successful judge and had always kept their relationship secret, fearing that his reputation and career could be ruined if the truth came to light. When Alessia became pregnant, Carlo was clear. He could not allow that child to officially exist. It was too risky for him. He asked her to terminate the pregnancy, but Alessia, despite the pressure, refused. She decided to continue the pregnancy and raise Tommaso alone. Carlo, frightened by the possibility of a scandal, agreed to keep the secret, visiting Alessia and Tommaso only in secret, keeping his public life intact. For 5 years, Alessia kept Tommaso away from prying eyes, accepting the situation so as not to lose the man she loved, and hoping that one day Carlo would recognize their son. This hope intensified after a tragic event. Carlo's wife, Anna, died in a car accident. Alessia believed that the time had finally come for Carlo to accept his son and live in the light of day. With the death of his wife, there were no more obvious obstacles. Alessia deluded herself that they could finally live as a real family. But Carlo didn't see it that way. Instead of seizing the opportunity to bring out the truth, he was overwhelmed by fear. He was terrified that his career and reputation could be destroyed if the relationship with Alessia and Tommaso's paternity were to come out. The judge, known for his integrity and severity, could not afford such a scandal. And so, he took an extreme and cruel decision: make Tommaso disappear and put all the blame on Alessia. Carlo devised a detailed plan while Alessia was at work, and Tommaso was entrusted to a babysitter, as usual. He arranged for the child to be taken from the house without anyone noticing, and took him to an isolated location outside the city. He paid an elderly couple who lived in a house far from the center to keep Tommaso hidden. These gentlemen, unaware of the truth, agreed to take in the child, convinced that Carlo was protecting him from imminent danger. He had told them a dramatic story, playing on their good faith. When Alessia returned home that evening, the babysitter was shocked. Tommaso was missing, and no one knew what had happened. Alessia's world fell apart. She picked up the phone and immediately called the police, who immediately began searching. For days, the city was paralyzed with terror, with everyone anxious about the fate of the child. The local media began to follow the case closely, and attention quickly became public about Tommaso's kidnapping. But what Alessia couldn't know was that Carlo had already arranged everything to frame her. The evidence mysteriously began to point against her. Some of Tommaso's objects were found in suspicious places, and some witnesses stated that Alessia had been seen behaving strangely in the days before her disappearance. It was all part of Carlo's plan to make her appear guilty in the eyes of the police and public opinion. Soon, the investigation focused on her. A few days after Tommaso disappeared, Alessia was arrested. Despite all her protests of innocence, the case had become a media spectacle, and people began to believe that it was she, a broken and desperate mother who had kidnapped and perhaps killed her son. Her public image was demolished. Newspapers and television broadcasts portrayed her as an unstable and cold woman. During the trial, Alessia found herself facing a system that seemed to have already decided her guilt. The evidence seemed overwhelming, and public opinion was against her. It was then that Alessia, exasperated and desperate, decided to reveal the secret she had kept for so long. In the courtroom, in front of journalists, lawyers, and the public, she declared that Tommaso was the son of Carlo Ferri, the judge respected by all. She told of their secret relationship, how he had forced her to keep quiet, and how she had always hoped that one day Carlo would recognize their son. The revelation shocked the courtroom. The reporters immediately took note, and the air became tense. All eyes moved to Carlo, who was present in the courtroom. The judge, always composed, tried to maintain control of the situation, but he was visibly shaken. In a cold, detached voice, he denied all charges, declaring that Alessia was only trying to save herself, inventing a story to divert attention from her guilt. Despite his denials, doubts began to creep in among the people present. Alessia had nothing to lose now, and her story seemed too detailed to be a lie invented at the last moment. It was then that Alessia's lawyer, Julia, decided to dig deeper. Thanks to an anonymous tip, she obtained a warrant to search a rural property, an isolated house outside the city, where a child had been seen crying desperately. When the police arrived on the scene, they found Tommaso alive and safe. He had been hidden there, far away from everyone, as part of Carlo's plan to destroy Alessia and keep her secret. The truth came out. Carlo had orchestrated the kidnapping and framed Alessia to protect his career and reputation. He was arrested immediately, and Alessia was finally cleared of all charges. After months of pain and suffering, she was able to hug her son again and get back to living. Alessia decided to move away from the city, to a quiet place by the sea, where she and Tommaso could rebuild their lives. Watching the sunset on the beach, Alessia realized that the future would be difficult, but they were finally free to start a new life, far from the secrets and lies that had marked their past. And for the first time, she felt truly at peace, ready to look forward. Did you like this story? Leave a comment below. Thanks for watching the video till the end, and see you next story.